Welcome everyone to the league. Week 14, aka Judgment Day. And hold on. Four more teams clinched their way into the playoffs last week. The Finesse, the Charleston Trolls, the Hickory Grove Heaters, and the Long Island Rune Dogs have punched their ticket to the playoffs. The second bye is still up for grabs. You know, it's going to be tough to see who is actually going to snag that one. Um, because it's really between, I mean, obviously the Trolls have a game up. So if the Trolls win, then they obviously will clinch that the other bye. However, if they lose and the Finesse win and the Heaters win, then it comes down to points four. And between all three of those teams, it looks like the Finesse are up above the Heaters by only 10 points. So very, very close there. So that number one seed is still up for grabs. Um, again, and if say if the Heaters, if the Heaters and the Trolls somehow both lose, um, then then the Trolls would need to not be outscored by the Finesse by 22 points, assuming the Finesse win. Okay, if the Finesse lose, it's ridiculous. The scenarios. If the Finesse lose and the Trolls lose and the Heaters lose, then obviously the Trolls are still a game up, so they would still take the bye. So for the Finesse to take it, they would need a win, and they kind of want the Heaters to win and to outscore them and to not get outscored by them by 10 points. But we're gonna let them handle that on the field. The number one, the first round bye is not really the most important thing this week. It is that last playoff spot. Who's it gonna be? The Voyagers, the Titans Elite, or the Washington Wise Guys? It could have been, excuse me, it could have been the Smeagol's, but in the week they needed to show up, they got their asses handed to them by the Rune Dogs, and the Smeagol's have been eliminated from the playoffs. Even at 6-7, yeah, they can go to 7-7, and so can the Voyagers, Titans Elite, and the Wise Guys. But one of those teams have to win. One of them have to win, and with that, uh, they're gonna get in. So the Smeagol's have been eliminated. Unfortunately, they are the first out. Well, not really the first out, but whatever. Um, so the Voyagers do have the top spot right now. Let's take a look at the scenarios. I did turn off the camera for this because who cares? The Voyagers, all they need is a win. Voyagers win, and they are in the playoffs. The Wise Guys, they need to beat the Voyagers and they need the Titans Elite to lose. So they are actually rooting for the Finesse this week. If that happens, the Wise Guys are in. Nothing else needs to be said. However, if the Titans Elite win, they need to outscore the Titans Elite by 19.03 points. The Titans Elite do hold the points for by 19.02, so they need to outscore them by that many or by that much, and they will take that last spot. But they don't want to leave it up to chance. They're rooting for the Finesse this week, but of course they have to win themselves. And the Titans Elite, I wouldn't say have the more difficult chance to get in, but obviously they need to win. They need the Voyagers to lose and they need to not get outscored by the Washington Wise Guys. Even if the Titans Elite win and the Voyagers win, they are still out. Yes, they would still both be 8-6. They would still both be 8-6, right? If the Voyagers and Titans Elite win. However, the Voyagers do hold a lead over the Titans Elite by 104 points. I don't see that happening, but I didn't put that in the scenario. But again, if the Titans Elite can outscore the Voyagers by 104 points and they both win, then the Titans Elite would get in. But again, probably not going to happen. So again, they need to win. They need the Voyagers to lose, and they need to pretty much keep pace with the Wise Guys in points. And they will be in. Let's get into the power rankings. Not even going to do the list. This is what it is. All right, you got the Cartel, Quailmen, and Tiger Sharks. Obviously, and then you got the Smeagol. So the first four that are out. Then you got the Wise Guys, Titans Elite, and Voyagers. I basically just put them in order of what they are in the standings, what they are for points for, and everything. And yeah, that's basically it. To me, they're all very even. And again, any one of them could get in after this week. And then you got the Rune Dogs just dropping down a spot because I feel like the Finesse are just a little bit better right now. But again, those two teams are very, very close. And then you have the Heaters and the Trolls, who are also two very, very, very tough squads. Heaters have actually scored more than the Trolls on the year, but the Trolls do have a better record. And then you got the fucking Dumpster Fire. We don't need to talk any more about them. That's beating a dead horse. Let's get into the matchups. Matchup number one. Who gives a fuck? 1-12 at 6-7. They're both out. Who gives a shit? Matchup number two. Again, kind of who cares, but just a little bit less. You got the Quailmen at 2-11 at the 8-5 Hickory Grove Heaters. Heaters need a win, obviously, because they want a chance to get that number one seed. If they don't, they're still in the playoffs. But if they win and get a little bit of help, they could still get that number one seed. Right now, the Hickory Grove Heaters are losing to the Quailmen 31-0 at the end of the first quarter, and that lead may hold. So the Heaters, maybe they're just resting their guys for the playoffs, because they do have the toughest chance to get that number one seed, or not number, I guess number two seed, you would say. So maybe they're just resting their guys this week and getting them ready for the playoffs. Matchup number three. You got the 4-9 Tampa Bay Tiger Sharks at the 9-4 Charleston Trolls. And again, Trolls win, they get the number two seed and the first round bye. If they lose, they still kind of have it, but they're going to need a little bit of help if that happens, but they want to go ahead and secure the win. Right now, it's just the Tiger Sharks up 2-0 at the end of the first. Just got a safety, very low scoring affair here. It looks like the Trolls should be able to pull ahead later in this game. Matchup number four, you got the 8-5. This would probably be game of the week any other week, but you got the 8-5 Long Island Rune Dogs at the league-leading 11-2 Columbia Dumpster Fire. And again, any other week, this would probably be This would probably be fuck. This would be game of the week. But this has nothing to do with playoff standings at all. The Rune Dogs can't get a bye since they are not they're in the East, so they can't get a bye, and the Dumpster Fire have already clinched the bye. So this is kind of like an exhibition, almost like a friendly, but it's going to be anything but down here, because the last time these two teams played, it was the first loss of the Dumpster Fire season, and it was on a recalculation, and they lost by a half a point. And I think they're gonna I think they're going to want to come out and prove to everybody that that was a fluke and that was a mistake and the refs got it wrong. And yeah, so that's what they're going to try and prove in this game that has literally nothing to do. We already know what's going to happen in the East. Nothing will change regardless if the Rune Dogs win. It does not matter. It does not matter. The only thing it may affect is who the Rune Dogs play come playoff time in that wild card game. Right now, the Rune Dogs are up 9-0 at the end of the first, but I think the Dumpster Fire are just taking it a little bit easy on them, just allowing 3 field goals. Even though the Rune Dogs don't have a kicker. So I don't know how the fuck that happened. Do they even have a kicker? They do not. So again, maybe the Rune Dogs are just resting Prater because they believe he's going to be the guy going into the playoffs. They don't want to waste a roster spot. Again, this game does not really matter. Let's get into the 2 games that do matter. The biggest matchups of the week. It was tough to choose which ones were more important, but the rivalry game of the week, not so much a rivalry, but whew, you got the 7-6 SC Titans Elite at the 8-5 LA Finesse. And, as I said earlier, obviously Titans Elite lose. They are out. They are out of the playoffs. Finesse can have a chance. Finesse do have a chance to get the number 1 overall seed. Again, it is unlikely that happens. Again, they would need the Trolls to lose, and obviously whatever happens with the Heaters. Let's say the Heaters do win. They are only ahead of the Heaters by 10 points, so they would have to outscore. Or they would have to not be outscored by the Heaters by 10.5 points, and they would control the number 1 seed. If the Heaters win, the Finesse win, and the Trolls lose to the Tiger Sharks. So again, it's an outside chance to get that number 1 seed. The number 2 seed, but they're still going to try for it. However, this is more important for the Titans Elite. If they win, they're still going to need some help to get into the playoffs because the next game, the game of the week, matters the most. You got the 7-6 Washington Wise Guys at the 7-6 Vietnam Voyagers. Vietnam Voyagers are holding the door right now. Hodor on this last and final playoff spot. Again, Voyagers win, they're in. Wise Guys win, they are basically in. Wise Guys have to win, and they need the Finesse to win. Again, if the Wise Guys win and the Titans Elite win, they have to outscore the Titans Elite by basically 20 points, which is very possible. But yeah, big fucking games. It's incredible that this is coming down to this kind of wire, especially in the West. Did not see it coming at the beginning of the year. We all thought it was going to be the South again, but it wasn't. It was the West. Hey, whew. It's tough out here, guys. Let's get to the predictions. It was the Consolation Committee picks this week. We had Rico, Dan, and Sam all making their picks. And overall, excuse me, they had the Smeagol's taking over. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and go back. Thank you, Graydon, last week for doing it a second time. He went 4-2 with his picks. Very good. We're now 49-29 on the year, still at 63%. Fan-fucking-tastic when it comes to predictions. But yeah, anyways, the committee. Rico, Dan, and Sam. They had the Smeagol's, and again, 3-0 means what they picked, right? So they all picked the Smeagol's to beat the Cartel, easy. They all picked the Heaters to beat the Quailmen. And of course, when it comes to the Trolls, they picked the Trolls 2-1. Of course, the Tiger Sharks were the one to pick against the Trolls in that one. They were 3-0 on picks for the Dumpster Fire over the Rune Dogs. They voted 2-1 for the Titans Elite over the Finesse, which is a bit of an upset. And it was Rico and Sam that said the Titans Elite, and it was Dan that said the finesse would take this one. So pretty spicy picks here. And then the game of the week, they again they had 2-1 Voyagers over the Wise Guys. In that one, it was Dan and Sam who picked the Voyagers, and Rico picked the Washington Wise Guys to win that one. So Rico with the spicy picks this week, picking the Rico picked the Tiger Sharks, he picked the Wise Guys, and he picked the Titans Elite over the Finesse. So Rico with the wild card picks here kind of worked out for him. He went 5-1 a couple of weeks ago, so we will see. Let's get into golf, and holy shit, Hunter. Woo! Hunter coming in out of fucking, well, not really out of nowhere. He was in second place, but good lord, let me check these stats. Last week, Matt shot a birdie. Good job, Matt. Here's your gold star. But Hunter, he shot 5 motherfucking birdies, and now Hunter has gone from 13 under up to 18 under. He's now got a 3-stroke lead with 1 hole to go, 1 week to go, and it's a 3-stroke lead, and it's basically Hunter or Matt. And at this rate, it's looking like Hunter. Could it be a double dip? Could we see for the first time ever a team win golf and the title in the same year? I mean, it would make sense. You know, golf is really based on who has been the best manager this year, who's made the right picks, started the right guys, and didn't start the wrong guys or hold a million defensive players on their team, which this year it wasn't Joe that was that bad. It was actually Mandy. Mandy, again, I think he's on the taxi squad, but I think Karlaftis had at least 4 or 5 bogeys from him alone. So that really held Mandy back. But again, golf isn't about who's the best in the league. It's about who's the best at managing what they have. If you have a shit team like Sam, then you're going to have a shit score most likely. However, Rico being fucking 7 shots down on Sam shows that just because you have the worst team doesn't mean that you're the worst manager. And I'm not saying Rico's the worst manager. I'm just saying. But Hunter has got a 3-stroke lead going in the last week of the season. Matt is trying to take home the goal line Stein, but Hunter jumped him, and that was a big one. You know, because the last 2 weeks, Hunter has shot 10 birdies in 2 weeks, no bogeys, while Matt has only shot 3. Matt thought playing it safe would work out, but it has not. Incredible. In-fucking-credible. But that's basically it, guys. Again, really try to keep it short this week. And good fucking luck to Joe. Debo, good luck. Can't discredit you. Good luck to the Finesse, the Trolls, and the Heaters vying for that number 2 spot and the bye. And good luck to myself, because I'm going to fucking need it. But I do have somebody coming back this week. We'll see how it goes. Woo! I didn't hit stop. There we go. Woo!